like a quote from Tony Robbins. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. It's from the Avengers.
Yeah.
You like the Avengers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
You know the bit in the Avengers where they're sitting and the team isn't really coming together, and then Samuel L. Jackson comes on and he's like, there was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people.
There was an idea called the Avengers Initiative. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
That's what I want to talk about today, because you were there when there was a team of people that led to BCC now being in existence. So today I've been in class, I've been in clinic, and then I run 10 miles. I don't know what that is in your distances.
16 kilometers.
So today I'm and it's late at night as well, so I'm ready for my bed, but that's okay. You're going to be doing most of the talking. I want to hear the story about how BCC came together. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself and then tell us a story.
All right. Dr. Boyce Kinnison. I'm from Texas. I graduated in 2001. Moved to Holland for 5 years, then came to Spain around 2005. And right about that time when I came here, there was a group of young chiropractors all moving at the same time from all over the world. And we just had a group of mentors at the time, Mark Hudson, Tobias, Adrian, Marcelo, Mauricio. We just had this group of mentors that had been here before and had just really busy practices, and they were running, a group of them was running the Chiro Europe seminars. Well, before then it was Chiro Europe, it was called Oliva.
Oh, wow.
That was,
well.
yeah.
When
so
was this?
That was, I think probably the first one might have been in 2001 or 2002.
Okay.
Right?
So I was 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it was quite interesting because, you know, a lot of the kids that were at those early seminars are now studying at the BCC, and that's quite a cool thing. So what happened is that these group of chiropractors, there was no really seminars going on in Europe at that time, in the late 1900s. Seems like a long time ago. But there was no big seminars going on, and so they had to go to the States. So they were going 3 or 4 times a year to Atlanta to do the seminars there. And of course that gets expensive and daunting and energy. So they just decided, well, why don't we just try to recreate something here in Spain for Europe? And so that was basically Lynn, Mark, and Mauricio Sandino. So they put together the seminar in Oliva, and then they started having these seminars there in April, and it just started growing and growing and growing. I think I went to my first one in maybe 2003, and I'm not sure how many years they did before that, but the seminar started growing. It started creating this culture, and one of the brilliant things about the seminar they put on was that they had it set up so that it was 4 days. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was in a big, beautiful hotel. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And so for 4 days, every year we got together, and you just start creating this family, this culture when you start spending that much time together on the same path. Yeah. And so that started growing, and you know, it was just, for me, it was kind of like Christmas time. It was like going home for Christmas, because every year is so excited to go back and see your same friends that you may not have seen over the course of the year. And it just grew and grew and grew, and out of that spun this ideal of, well, if you look at Europe and what's going on, chiropractic-wise, there's very few chiropractors. For schools that have been around for 40 years in Europe, at the time there was still maybe 3,000-4,000 chiropractors, and it just wasn't growing. Two, there was no schools at that time that really reflected the values of the people that were coming to these seminars. Right. And that was a big problem.
So they were really in the minority.
Well, definitely in the minority.
They were the only ones?
We were, yeah, definitely. They were definitely in the minority. We were in the minority. And so, and the third thing that was happening is the powers that be, the governing bodies in Europe, were not, and I would arguably say still not, taking what we would consider chiropractic in the direction that represents our values. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the ideal came. So what do we need to do? So, you know, we need more chiropractors. We honestly believe that, you know, like every person on this planet should have access to chiropractic care or chiropractic education. So what do? We need more chiropractors. So another thing came up is also in Spain, We have no law, and we had no chiropractic schools at the time. So the health department, we've been fighting and trying to get a law for all this time. They said, well, if you guys have a school and you start graduating Spanish students, then we can give you a law. But until you have that, well, that's turned out to be a big lie, because we've had a school for over 10 years and 2 schools now, and yeah, they just completely lied to us on that one. But anyways, we got it done, and so that sparked the idea, like, should we start a school, and what do we need to do this?
And when did that idea, like?
That probably came around 2000, maybe 4, I think. And so the idea came, and they're like, okay, we need to figure out how to do this. We obviously don't know how to do this. We're a bunch of chiropractors. So, I mean, obviously, Adrian, he's got just a mind for this kind of stuff. And he's like, well, we need to hire some consultants to help us. And this is what they do. They help universities get accreditation, develop their curriculum. And so a company called Blue Egg was hired. And they were the consultant company that worked with us for many, many years. And 12 chiropractors got together, and they all pitched in 3,000 euros. So with this 36,000 euros, they paid this consulting company to figure out what had to take place for us to start a school. Yeah. So I'm not sure how long that time frame, because I actually wasn't in that first moment. I don't know how long that time frame came, but they came back to us and they just basically handed us a big, dossier of information. And to sum it all up, you need tons of money and tons of resources, and that's it. And then they helped us out, so developing the next stages to that. So once we decided, okay, this is what we need to do, we need money. And so, I mean, what do you do when you need money? You typically turn to family. Yeah, you turn to family, you turn to friends, you beg and plead, whatever you need. So that's about the time where I came in, and Adrian had introduced the ideal to Aaron Morse and I at the time. We were on board the second we heard it. And we just knew that there's something going on in Barcelona. We don't know what it is, but there's something big. And it was literally like that week. Adrian was like, hey, would you guys come over to my office? I'd like to talk to you guys about something. And we were all excited, this is our mentor, this is Adrian Winband, we were all really excited to just be hanging out with him. And yeah, we sat down, and he had his briefcase, and he just pulled out this piece of, this booklet, and it said Escola Chiropractica Barcelona across the top of it, and just laid one in each one of our laps. And we just kind of looked at each other. Aaron and I were like, I knew it. I knew something was happening, and this is it. And he explained to us the ideal, and if we were on board, and we said, definitely, right now, yeah, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes?
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, guys.
So there was a small group of us that got together in Barcelona. Gretchen, Nikki, Michelle, Francine, we started working on the project.
Francine, my teacher, Francine?
Yeah. And so...
just for context, in case anyone doesn't know, Adrian is the principal of the school, so I see him most days. And Francine is my chiropractic and society teacher. Mm-hmm. So it's awesome that they were there right at the start, and they're still there.
Yeah. Us three, we're the only 3 that are still actively involved in the program still to this day. But we started working on the project, getting little things done, and then we needed money, so we were coming up to the Oliva seminar, which actually now has been done in Mallorca, and this is still before it was called Chiro Europe. So we've been doing it a few years in Mallorca, in this beautiful resort there, and so we're coming up to that, and this is going to be this is our moment. We're going to tell our family that this is what we're doing. Right. You guys asked for it, we're going to do it, and we need money. So basically, so it was, we were super excited. We'd made banners and posters, and we'd had everything organized for the big coming out party, if you want to say, and that was it. And so Saturday night, everybody went to dinner, and as you know, at the Chiro Europe seminars, you come back after dinner, and then we do different other exercises. After dinner.
That was good timing.
Yeah. So get everybody, have a couple drinks going, everybody feeling good, and we brought them back into the room, and while they were in there, we set up all the banners, we set up the tables in the back with the donation boxes, we had the donation cards, we had everything ready to go. And at the time, one of the speakers we had was Ron Oberstein. And Ron Oberstein This is before he was working with Life West, but he had a lot of experience in fundraising and things like that he'd done in the past. So he kind of helped us set the room up and helped us out how to get to the point where it's time to give money. And so everybody came back. It was really just, I think back to it all, and it's just surreal. It really is. I mean, we were so excited about this thing and this ideal and this project we had been working on, and nobody knew anything about it. Nobody. And then 300-400 people come walking back in the room, and they see these banners and they see all the stuff, and it was emotional, and it was just awesome to see. And then they're like, what is this? What is this all about? And they sit down. Adrian and Mark speak about the project, the plan, and then Ron goes into what started the other schools before us. It's about a group of people getting together. It's about people digging deep in their pockets, deeper than they think they can dig, because that's what's going to take. Right. And so he set the tone for that, and then he said, all right, so if anybody's ready to donate, please raise your hand and let's get the ball rolling. And so a few people started raising their hand. There was 100 here, 500 here, 1,000, a 5,000, a 10,000, and it got the ball rolling. But it was probably maybe about 15-20 minutes it lasted, and then it was just silence. So we knew our goal was we wanted to raise €1 million. And that's basically what it said we needed to have at minimum.
Just to do what?
Just to
put one cohort through, or
just to get up to opening the school, basically.
Wow. So not before the first student even comes in.
Yeah.
You need $1 million. Wow.
Yeah, and that's private donors. There's no government subsidies that are helping us out. It's all chiropractors that are doing this. Mm-hmm. So that was our goal. We're going to get €1 million. We're going to get €1 million in about 15 minutes into this process. It was just dead silence, and we'd probably raised maybe €50,000. So we were far from our goal, and we were just sitting there, just like watching our dream just drift away. I mean, it was literally it had gone. That was it. There was nothing happening, and there was no movement going. And at that point, I still lightning struck the building. That's how I put it. Lightning struck the building. It shot straight through the building, and it hit a guy named Ata Purnami in the ass. Right. And he just shot out of his seat. He flew across the room, and he ripped that microphone out of Ron's hand, and he just really just metaphorced into some being that we'd never seen before. And he literally just went nuts. And he was just like, just screaming into the microphone. He's like, "You guys asked for it. You guys asked for it. This is it. You guys wanted a school that represents your values. You guys asked for it. It's here. And that's all you got?
What are you going to do about it?"
Yeah. He's like, "I've already donated 10,000. I'm going to raise it to 20,000 right now. I'm going to give 20,000. How much are you going to give? How much are you going to give?" And he just literally went around the room and just made everybody so awkward. Yeah. And people just started donating and donating and donating. And he just got so nuts that he ripped his shirt off. Literally.
He went beast mode.
He went beast mode, ripped his shirt off. And this isn't a seminar. This isn't like everybody's dressed up. It's just like,
What's this guy's name?
Ata Purnami, practice in Valencia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For your service.
I mean, that's that moment in time. I mean, sure, there was a lot of work that went into it. Had that not happened, nothing would happen. You wouldn't be here. None of us would be here. That moment in time, it was nuts. He ripped his shirt off, and we were just sitting there. We were like, what's going on? I mean, what are you gonna just tackle him? It wasn't what we wanted to happen, but it was working. And out of what he did, we got pledged around €630,000. Okay. Out of what he did. Now, we only ever collected out of that first series of donations, I think around $350,000. So if you still owe us money, we can set up a payment plan for you. So, but out of that first thing, that was enough money to get the ball rolling. Right. And so we continued on with that. With that money, we were able to go back and consult with Blue Egg again and say, okay, what's our next steps? The consultant company, what's the next steps? And they really helped us through there. We started hiring some people to work with us, a gestor, an accountant, lawyers, and then we already had some lawyers already working for us, but here now we were able to pay them to take them to the next level. We had to develop a foundation. So we developed a foundation. So the school was set up. We decided to set up as a foundation so that all the money that comes into the school goes back into the research and development of chiropractic and just improves chiropractic in Spain and around the world. So not anybody that was in the original team or group got any money back, and we'll never get any money back. It was all, this is like, this needs to go back, and we wanted that money to just keep recycling into developing chiropractic. So that's why we set up the foundation. Yeah, that was the first thing that got the ball rolling, and then so we had a working group. There was about 20 people in the working group, but there was only around 13, maybe 14 that were consistently showed up to all the meetings. But the other 7 had roles to play and did things, but they didn't make it to all the meetings. But there was about 13 of us, mainly we were the ones in Barcelona, and we met every 3 to 4 months, and we were basically doing what we were taught by River and Sunshine and the Inner Winners. You know, it was like we came together, we did exercises, did some team building, worked on ourselves, and then we were like, okay, what's our next step? You know, first was a mission statement, you know, and we came up with making vitalistic chiropractic mainstream. That was it. Making vitalistic chiropractic mainstream, making vitalistic chiropractic mainstream. We just hammered that over and over again. And so we divided up into different work groups. We had a marketing group and education research group. We had political group, because that was another thing that was happening. And I mean, there's so much people involved in this, but when we decided to go, we were moving forward with this. There was many people, mentors of ours that helped us that were outside the group, like Jerry Klum, Guy Riekman, Brian Kelly.
That's
like
big names.
Yeah. Well, and had experience, and they were really bent over backwards and helped us in every way possible. We had many conference calls with them. We flew to Life many times to sit in their board meetings. They invited us
to see how they.
No, come on over. We want you to come sit in our board meetings, see how the board runs. You can have interviews with anybody in the board. We'll set those up. You can talk to them, and they did that. We did that for years, and we came back and we'd run our meetings through what we learned, and every time we come back, we'd go over what's been done up until now. Then we would start doing our work groups. We'd get into our work groups. We'd do their exercise. We'd do sweat lodges, fire walks. We did all the fun stuff, but then we went back to work. And then by the end of the weekend on Sunday, after 3 days being together, we were ready for the next 3 months.
So you've a team of people there, and what you need is a team all with the different skill sets that you need for building the school and get everything up and running. Accountants, lawyers, the actual chiropractors themselves, people that understand the way we want chiropractic to go in Europe. But then you also need to make sure that everyone has the same moral code for and the same vision, I guess. Yeah. Which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
To have that team. Yeah. And you have a lot of different opinions and a lot of different disciplines, but everyone can come together and at least have the same vision.
Yeah. Making vitalistic chiropractic mainstream.
That's it.
You had to keep it clean.
Yep.
That had to kept clean. But you know, there was many challenges along the way, because, well, what about this? You know, what about that? There was many challenges that came along the way, but it was just making vitalistic chiropractic, just keep that simple. But the work groups got together. Not exactly. No, totally not. But you know, we got into our work groups. You know, what do we do? Okay, the political group, and so the political group we got in. And this is one thing I skipped over earlier, but talking about the people that mentored us forward. One of the first things that Jerry Klum told us: if you guys really want to do this, you have to get involved in politics. It's the only way this is going to make it happen. And none of us were a part of politics at the time, so all of a sudden we were on the phone. We were like, who's going to do this? Right. So all of us, everyone that could, joined the AEQ board. We had people join in the positions that they could at the ECU level. And within probably about a year and a half, we had probably 80% of the board was made up of the people that were in these groups. Right. So it was like, all right, we'll do that. We need to do that. Okay, what else do we need to do? Okay, we need to do that. It was just like, whatever it takes, like, let's do it, you know? And I think there's a bit of naivety to it as well. At the time, it was like,
I've heard Adrian said that before. He's like, we were young enough and we were arrogant enough, because to do what you guys did, you do need balls. Like, you need to have that arrogance to say, yep, we're gonna make it happen, whatever it takes.
Yeah, it was a combination of having some really good mentors of ours, you know, like Adrian and Mark and those guys that were at this level, and then just like this new group of chiropractors that came in, and we were just
hungry.
like, we were hungry, and we were watching them, and we were so inspired by what they had done in Spain. And we were like, yeah, whatever, I'll do that. And then, you know, then later came in Brian Kelly and those guys, and it took it to the next level. Okay, like, look at the bigger picture. This is what needs to be done. But it was just like, you know, the leash was on the neck, and it was just like, go. next, you know, like, we'll take it on. It was retrospectively, like, it's got a time shelf of that you can maintain that, and you know, that's why a lot of us are still in the group. You just burn out. It was just so much work, so intense, and just a lot of stress as well, a lot of like uncertainties, and things just kept coming up. But those meetings went on probably for about 3 to 4 years that we were doing, right around till the school started, and it went on for a couple of years after that. You know, meeting probably 3, sometimes 4 times a year. And then school opened in 2009. So like what we did, I mean, I know in Holland, they've been trying to open a school since the late 1900s, you know, since I think 96, and they're nowhere near opening a school. I know other countries have tried as well. It's no easy feat. And the fact that we pulled it off in like 3.5 years, you know, not from the start, but from the time we were like, okay, let's get some money and put this together, is nothing short than a miracle. And the guidance from the consultants, which is, you know, we've had many people ask us since, like, okay, what did you do? Can you help us? And we're like, sure, talk to Blue Egg, like, hire the consultants. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, that's a lot of money. It's like, look, you're just going to waste years. And, you know, like, you want to take that gap.
You're going to have to pay, but it's going to be quick.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's just like, okay, it's like, how do you reduce the time factor? You know, like, you want to get to level 10, you can hire a coach, right? And that coach is going to get you to 8 really fast. That other 2 is where you got to do the work in. But it's like, you hire consultants, like, this is what you need to do. Instead of spinning the wheels, doing stuff, you're just wasting time. Yeah. So they really helped us with that. And
you'll often find, I had 2 questions from what you said. One was, what was it like when the doors opened? Because that's long before I was even thought of at the BCC. The doors opened, you've the first cohort of students, and then my second question is, now when we've had 5 cohorts go through, something like that?
I think, 5 graduating classes.
What's it like now whenever you go to seminars, and you know the way they always have the benches like this and there's people adjusting? Is that a really surreal feeling now when you can kind of sit back and you see people from the school that you were involved in actually graduating, helping people and adjusting now at seminars? What's that like for you?
Okay, so to answer the first question, the induction for that first year, you know, I'll never forget it. It was we try to have as many people that were involved with the project come and be there for that induction, obviously. And you know, just that moment of like, it's happened, it's here. And seeing all the students there was, I think, 25 students in the first class. We were so arrogant. We were like, we're going to get 100 people in the first year. I mean, if we got 100 people, it would have just imploded in on itself.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way that would have worked. I mean, that's a perfect example. The universe only gives you what you can handle. And we could only handle 25, I'm sure. So, I mean, just with the facilities that we had, you know, it was like ridiculous.
A flat. It was like
it was an apartment pretty much. Yeah. 3-bedroom apartment and a little downstairs room, so we made it happen. But there's one picture I remember of just a group of us that were together that comes up in my mind about that day and that night. And to be honest, out of the first 25 students, I would say probably half of them, or a little bit more than half of them, were actually friends of ours. Like, can you imagine that? Yeah. like I know several people were just people like we met at George Payne, the bar, our local pub, you know. Like, we just hung out with them, and they're like, man, you guys are always excited about your job. You take Fridays off, you travel, you make good money, and you get to help people. you know, I want to do that. And we're
Sure.
like, yeah, there's a school, go sign up. And they're like, okay. You know, like I think about that. I'm like, God, those people were idiots.
Yeah. And some of them graduated?
Oh, they all graduated. You know them, and they're rock stars,
That's
man. They're
amazing.
killing it. But
I
I
didn't
think
know
like
this.
some of those people were idiots, but I mean they were our friends, and I was like, God, think about it. Like the curriculum, like we only developed the first year curriculum. We only developed the curriculum as
Yeah, you
each
make it
year
up as you
as
go.
we're not making it. The curriculum was built, and as we were in that year, the next year was being built as we went along, and obviously then you're revamping the curriculums before, and this was going on. But it's like there was nothing on the other side. There was nobody for them to learn from outside the teachers and us.
Right.
But there was no old tests to look at. There was nobody who'd done it before. There was nobody in clinic before them. There was nothing. I mean, they were truly special
Trailblazers,
people,
yeah.
trailblazers and gifted. And if you look at all the other chiropractic schools and you look at their first graduating class, those people are leaders of professions right now. You check it out. You go look at the history of life when it opened, that first graduating class, and these people had changed a lot of chiropractic over the years. And I believe that's going to happen in our first. Well, I think it's going to happen with a lot of our graduates. But that
Well, the
first
people that
class,
are crazy enough to sign up to a school that doesn't even have a graduating class are usually the people that are crazy enough to go out and do these kind of things, you know.
yeah, to
change
start new
professions
associations,
and-
yeah. So that leads us into this next question, where you're like, okay, what's it like now? And then like to see, I just heard the other day somebody did a course in Holland. And they were like, yeah, it was Jay Postma. He actually taught neurology at the school for a while,
Right.
and he does a neurology program. And he's like, I think we had 5. He said out of the 30 people or 40 people he had in class, I think he had 5 BCC graduates at the course. And he's like, it was so awesome to have them there working as colleagues side by side. And now we look at some of our graduates, because we have graduates from I think over 25 countries. Going back to countries where there was no associations, there was no chiropractors, and now they're developing associations in their countries. Like that's what we want, making vitalistic
And that
chiropractic
might
mainstream.
plant the seed for the next school, the next batch.
Well, there's lots of countries actually that are in touch with us that want to open schools, but what was the first thing Blue Egg told us? You need lots of money and lots of resources. If you got a country and you only got 3 chiropractors, 6 chiropractors, it's not really deep in resources, and the amount of money it's going to take on top of that to build a school that holds the values is really difficult to do, because what's happened, we've seen this happen in many other schools. They have good intentions, they get a collaboration with a university, a local medical university typically, and they go in there.
You have money. Yeah.
They go in there and they set up this this joint program, and within 5-10 years, it's not the program they set out to open.
Sure.
And that's the biggest fear, and that's what took us so long to figure out. We had to go to so many universities and have in the contract, this is
We pick the staff. You can't
This
alter
is-
the curriculum.
this comes back to the foundation. It's our decisions. This is our school. This is our curriculum. We design it. It's not for this is not open for discussion.
Yeah.
And then get into a place where universities like, okay, that's fine, you can do this. Yet they don't ask for anybody on our board. It's just also quite a big deal. Most of the time, if you have some sort of convenience like that, they're like, yeah, but what do we get out of it? It's always that. So you're getting money from us, but then typically they want somebody on the board as well. So we don't have that. We have the board is still.
You kept it pure.
Yeah, well, we were able to manage that, but that's the fear with a lot of these countries that I've been talking with, or that contact us. Actually, just spoke 2 weeks ago with somebody as well about this, and it's that same thing. It's like, sure, you might have an open door, but how much control do you have of the curriculum, and where's it going to be in 10 years' time from now? Because second bums start coming on seats, they start seeing the money, and then they're like, okay, well, why don't we open it up for physios and medical doctors,
Some physios come
and we can fast track them.
Yeah.
They can do a 2-year program instead of the 5-year program because they've already got this degree. Well, we know that also doesn't work. You have to untrain that mindset that they've been conditioned to believe. Doesn't mean they're not going to be great chiropractors, but that's why people come to our school, osteopaths, physios, medical doctors. They start from year 1. Now, they don't have to take all the classes.
Credit
They don't-
transfer.
yeah, they have credit transfers, but they need freaking philosophy from day one. They need hands-on from day one, and they need to go through that whole process to create the chiropractors that we want to be out there holding the flag up for us. You know, if you just start putting numbers out there, the next thing you got people and, you know, making votes and putting bums on seats on boards and associations that are dictating the laws for chiropractic, and that's what's happened.
And that's great that you guys kept it pure, and I say thank you to you and anyone watching this that was involved at the time. Like, thank you, because I mean, I'm just completely in love with BCC now, and I gotta be honest, the first 2 years that I was there, I didn't realize I was like the spoiled kid that doesn't know how lucky he is, and I was complaining about this and that and just like the organizational stuff. Man, to be honest with you, it was only when I went to other colleges, it was when I started visiting colleges all around Europe. I do seminars, like now I'm helping coach with Danny, so I get to travel to all these places with MLS, and it was only then when I'm sitting speaking to these people, and I've actually sat in some classes as well, it was only then that I sat and in retrospect was like, whoa, like we are very lucky. Like we have such a unique place in Europe.
They use a completely different vocabulary than we do, completely different mindset.
And I came back, I felt like the spoiled rich kid that had been sent to a third world country, and now he's come back.
You're rich, and you donated more to the school.
In BCC, I feel rich, is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
And I'd gone to a third world country, and then I come back and I'm grateful for everything I have. Like, that's how I feel after going to these places. And now, man, like when people in my school or in other schools are complaining, and they're like, oh, you know, the benches, the curriculum, the setup, the timetable, blah blah blah. Man, I just laugh at them, because if they, that's why I wanted to get you on this as well, because if I want people to know like the really humble beginnings that where this came from, and how much hard work it took to have this unique place that we've been given. So thank you very much.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for, you know, like, you're now working and teaching technique to other people you haven't even graduated, which is making Vitus a chiropractic mainstream, which is exactly what we want. So thank you for being a trailblazer and putting the time and effort into it, because you know we have students come through the school and they're just going through the process, and which is great. You know, you don't have to be so involved in everything, but we need people who are involved. So thank you for that. Yeah, man, it's cool to see that. And so when you say, what do you think about your graduates? Shit, you're still in school and you're doing it. So that is powerful to me. That's exactly what we want from our grads and our students. So take the bull by the horn. When you talk about how far the school goes, I mean, I'd like to go has come. I'd like to talk a little bit more about that as well, if I could, because when we started out the school, I mean, we were just, we had apartments, like 3-bedroom apartment. So the classrooms were done in some of the bedrooms. Right. The interview room was actually one of the bedrooms. Yeah, no, the kitchen was the admin office. So the admin office is the kitchen table. The round table is where Adrian and Mark Pastor, and that's where the teachers worked. Right. And then the class were done there. And we had a downstairs space as well where we were doing some of the clinic stuff, very small, right by Sagrada Familia. So we probably only had total maybe 250 meters squared, very small. We also had a clinic next to that. So we were advised if we open a clinic beforehand and we can have patients throwing through it, this might help us with accreditation. So we had a group of chiropractors that volunteered 1 shift a week, and they worked in this clinic. So that clinic generated money and created students that would eventually be student based, that or patient based, that students could go into. So we had all these local chiropractors in the middle of the week would go over there for a 3-hour shift and work, volunteer. For free. Yeah, wow. Volunteer, and that went on for years. So we started out the school with bare minimums. We were lucky enough to have people donate tables. Don Quiro. We still had at that point, a working relationship with Chiro Europe, and the deal was with Chiro Europe is, we helped them organize and run them, and then whenever whatever's left after all the bills were paid, that money would be donated to the school, and so that went on for probably to around 2011, maybe 12, I think. And then once the school started becoming a little bit self-sufficient, then the two entities decided that, okay, we didn't need each other as a working entity anymore, and so we split up those. So we started out, with the bare essentials, but really fast, we had moved into a clinic up in Sadia probably in 2000, I think maybe 14, so probably third or fourth year. Now we've got 600 square meters. We still had some space at the EDEC. And then probably 2 years after that, maybe even less, we got another 600 square meters. So really before almost
the same place.
Yeah. Where you guys are at now.
And I think that's what after that is maybe a year or two before I came in.
Yeah. So I think before the first graduating class, we went from like 250 square meters to 1,200 square meters, right, which is no small feat and just amazing. And I've had practitioners, chiropractors from all over the world come in and see our clinic, and they see, we had donated from the ECU, the cameras and the things. So the monitoring, the level of the monitoring that we have at our school is
it's unique as well.
It's so unique and so advanced. And they're
you want to talk a bit about that in case anyone's watching that doesn't know what you're talking about?
So what we did is we had a monitoring system put into all the clinic rooms. So basically we have a camera, and I believe there's a microphone in there, and so everything can be recorded, and we can also have a clinic doctor in the AAV room, basically monitoring what was going on.
Like MI6.
Yeah, basically MI6, policing everything. But why is that?
Watching the Zarek doesn't do something stupid.
Exactly. So what's so great about that is that can then be reviewed later, and between clinic doctor and the thing, say, okay, that's great. How about next time you do this? And so that takes the whole another thing to another evaluation. We didn't have that at my school, and it was one of the biggest schools in the world. I mean, we had in my class when I started, I had 200 students in my class. Yeah. And we had a great clinic. But we didn't have this kind of stuff. You went and you did your thing, you came back, nobody saw you, nobody monitored it, they signed off on it, and there was no way to check the checks and balances.
Did they come in? Or?
Yeah, no, they did on some, but they weren't there all the times. Yeah, they only had to be there in the room on certain mini visits or adjustments. But they didn't have to be there all the time. But here we have a capability to constantly be monitoring and improving the adjustments and the communication between the patient and the doctor, the student. So I think this is an excellent thing that we have at the school. Another thing that I think is really unique to our school, and I forget about these things, because I get involved in other things, but I forget that our system for grading exams far exceeds any other school that I know of. Right. We have this, we have external experts that come in. We have this grading procedures that go through.
It has to be filtered through.
Yeah, it's not just like one person reads it and grades it. There's a group of staff, teachers that get together, and usually somebody external from the school as well, and they all grade the papers. And so obviously some papers you might fly in colors, so there's no really discussion. But if there's ever any doubt on any of the papers, the whole group, so this just happened this last Friday, because the exams just ended, and they got a group of staff in there.
I saw you guys, I walked past and I saw, the little strip on the frosted glass, and I said, okay, why is everyone in there? And
that's what they're doing. They're the committee of the exams. They're going over all the exams together as a group and seeing, what's going on. Are the test questions right? Were they good? Can they be better? Right. Going over all this stuff, and that is, there's people in that meeting. There were people in that meeting that hadn't been there before, and they said, "I've never seen this before." That level of quality assurance, never seen that before. So we're really grateful for that. It takes a ton of resources and a ton more money to make that happen, but that's the standards we want to have. Awesome. That's the standards. And that being said, I mean, there's still, I know the tables that the clinic can use new covers and things like that, and these are small things and the things that are improving on, but there's so much behind the school that's growing and improving. And if you look at like what we came from and where we're at now, and if you just look at the quality of the standards of what's going on a day-to-day basis, none of that existed 10 years ago. None of it existed. and so just then the first 5 years, those graduates, they see, wow, how much has changed. And now the next 5 years, as you go through your program, you see yourself how much has changed in just these 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, at this school, which I don't know, they didn't have it at our school, but there's we have student staff liaison meetings, where we sit down and the student comes to the table and they're like, okay, this is going on, this is our concerns. Each class comes turn, and the whole committee sitting there listen to it, and we address these concerns. We also have a student person on the board as well. And because of these meetings, because of this interaction, we didn't have that. You need to like complain to the board and tell them, we don't like this.
Yeah,
like, I didn't even know who the board members were when I was in school.
It's not an us versus them. It's like, okay, we all have the same vision, and yes, we may fall out, but at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. We're trying to keep chiropractic pure and keep the rest of the crap out.
And it's not to say that when they have these meetings, it's like the students are like, we want this, and we want Coca-Cola machines, and we're like, okay, everything, yes. No, it's not that. It's like, what's reasonable, what's not. And it doesn't mean that's going to happen right now, because obviously it needs structure. So some things, we can implement right away, but some things may take a year, some things may take 2 years. But before you graduate, I guarantee you're going to see these things being implemented into the program, which didn't exist before.
And technique wise, like, people have come back to the school, and they've said to the likes of the people in my class, they're like, guys, you're so much more advanced technique wise than what we were when we were at this level. And now, like, I'm in fourth year, I'm in second semester of fourth year, so a year and a bit to go. Man, I'm looking at the first and second years, and if they keep going the way they're going, by the time they get to the level in the school that I'm at, they're going to surpass me by far. Yeah. And I think that'll just continue and continue.
I sure hope
and
so.
It just goes to show, like, when you have a team of hardcore gangster people that can all align and just have the confidence, and even maybe sometimes you don't have the confidence, but you have to just grab between your legs and squeeze and see what you can pull up from there. And now this is going to affect the lives of everyone, that every graduate of the BCC adjusts whenever they're on the table in their practices. So any closing thoughts?
First of all, again, thanks for having me. And this story needs to be told. People need to know where we came from and how it all got started. It's so important to creating the culture that we have here in Spain and Europe, and improving on it. And the school's moving forward. It's moving great. We have our accreditation coming up in this next month, and we've already been through 2, and I feel more confident at preparing for this one than I did at the last 2. Our team is running better. Sure, there's things that need to be improved on, but it's going forward, it's moving better. We hope we're looking at new facilities to even expand. I remember this was one of the visions we had, way back. We were like, okay, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and it was just always like, because, we just you look at life and you see this self-standing campus, and you see all this stuff, and you think, wow, how cool. And so that's kind of ultimate vision. But one of the things that we like about the BCC is it's actually in the city. It's easier to commute and get to. But we would like to have a self-standing, campus, which we're looking for. And if we can find something that fits, within the budget, and and allows for growth over the next 5 or 10 years, then we're on it, man. And so that would just bring so much more to the school, and just show that, again, it's just like, it's baby steps, but there's just something special behind the BCC, and it started it started in the early 2000s. And although there's so many people that aren't on the project anymore, they're not actively involved, had it not been for those people at that same time, they carried the ball as far as they could, and then they passed it on to somebody else, and that just keeps happening. But that energy that's behind it, if I think of all the times we were sitting there and we need an emergency board meeting now, like tonight, and we're on the phone and we're like, okay, this is going on, and if that doesn't happen, this can potentially happen. That's happened so many times where you're just like, oh my God, and but we just find a solution. We have a team together that no matter what, it's like we'll find the solution, we'll make it happen, and that's what I think makes the BCC great. And I just can't wait to see what the next 5 years stand for. I know within 5 years, hopefully within a year or two, we got a self-standing campus. You know, the numbers continue to grow. You know, we have so many seminars coming to Barcelona too, which is such a great thing.
That's a nice way. That's a nice way to tie in to what you said at the start. I think this will be great to wrap up with. You said at the beginning, and I thought about it. You said there was barely any seminars happening in Barcelona
In Spain,
whenever this idea was implanted, and now I've never been to a seminar outside of Europe. There's seminars you couldn't go to all the seminars.
You couldn't go to all the seminars in Barcelona.
No.
In Barcelona, there's 3 or 4 a month now. I mean, it's crazy.
I'm in Toulouse this weekend to help coach MLS. Last week I did the Steve Williams pediatric seminar at the school. The week before that I was in Bristol helping to coach MLS. The weekend after next I'll be doing Syntropy with Patrick and Aaron. That's going to be in Barcelona. And then the weekend after there's something else. And
so again, this was a kind of the ideal. It's like, let's build an epicenter of making flat evidence chiropractic mainstream.
And now here I am, 2020, 4th year student, and there's just an abundance of seminars. Whatever it takes,
Whatever it takes.
Thank you very much for coming and talking to me,
Thanks for having me, man.
Taking the time.
Yeah, well, thank you for all your hard work doing, and keep pushing forward, man. You're going to be carrying the flag for us one day, I know.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.